Today I wanted to unbox this commander deck from the Commander Masters. Um, this one happens to be Planeswalker Party. It's blue, red, white. So they have a couple little punch outs for counters on the edge of the box, and comes with a little box for the cards if you don't already have a deck box. And there's obviously the deck, a little pamphlet thing relating to Magic, a collector's booster sample pack, one of the little spin down / up life counters, so the suggested, or I don't know if it's really suggested, but the first commander possibility they have, the one that they have up front, is actually a foil. That one's Comadre Guff, a legendary Planeswalker Guff. It's cost 1 blue, red, and white. At the beginning of your end step, put a loyalty counter on another target Planeswalker you control, which, if this is going to be a Planeswalker deck, that's pretty cool. The +1 ability, create a 1/1 red wizard creature token with tap, add a mountain, spend this mana only to cast Planeswalker spells. The -3 ability is you draw X cards, and Comadre Guff deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of Planeswalkers you control. And down at the bottom, it tells you that Comadre Guff can be your commander. He starts out with 5 loyalty counters. Next, we have Leroy Sparkicus Hunter. That's a 3/3 legendary creature, an elemental cat, for an island, a mountain, and the plains. Now, where it is a legendary creature, it could be a commander also, and it has all 3 of the colors from this deck. It has flying, vigilance. When Leroy Sparkicus Hunter deals combat damage to a player, choose a Planeswalker type. Until end of turn, whenever you activate an ability of that Planeswalker of that type, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for that copy. So again, these 2 guys, pretty cool in a Planeswalker deck. Obviously, both of them can be a commander. We'll probably see other legendary creatures, but some may only be single or 2 colors instead of all 3. So next we have card to draw for Hawk. It's a 2/1 creature, bird, for 1 in the plains. Has flying. Seems kind of obvious for a bird. But, when Cartographer's Hawk deals combat damage to a player who controls more land than you, return it to its owner's hand. If you do, you may search your library for a plains card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffled. So I guess kind of cool to get the ability to get more land if your opponent has more land than you. Otherwise, it's just kind of a, small, low mana flying creature. Pass to Exile. It's a instant for a plains. Exile target creature. Its controller may search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So kind of a trade-off. You're dealing with a creature you don't want, and you're, instead of destroying it, sending it to the graveyard, you're actually exiling it so your opponent can't return it to the battlefield. The trade-off is you're giving your opponent the chance to get a land from their library. Next we have Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. It's a 5/4 legendary creature, an orc warrior for 3 and 2 mountains. So obviously where it's a legendary creature, it could be a commander. You just wouldn't want it as a commander in this deck where it's mono, it's just red, and this particular deck's blue, red, white. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you're the defending player, create a 3/3 or creature token unless that creature's controller pays 3. So basically, this guy's out on the battlefield, you're getting attacked, you can create another creature, a creature token, unless your opponent spends 3 mana to prevent you from doing that. So that seems pretty good. Arcanine Singlet. It's an artifact for 2, 2 colorless, so it could be any color. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity, so basically something you would expect in a commander deck. Felwar Stone. It's an artifact for 2. Tap to add 1 mana of any color that land an opponent controls could produce. So I don't know how often you would need a color other than 1 in your color identity, but maybe if you're casting something of your opponent somehow. Soul Ring, another staple for commander. It's an artifact for 1 mana. Tap to add 2 colorless. Commander Tower, another staple in commander. It's a land that taps to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity. Myriad Landscape. It's a land. Myriad Landscape enters the battlefield tapped. Tap to add a colorless mana, or pay 2, tap, sacrifice Myriad Landscape. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share your land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So, it's good because you can tap for colorless, or you can search for lands. I mean, the drawback is, it's his basic land, so you can't search out a dual land or something, I guess. Or at least the way I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong, but reliquary, uh, reliquary tower, it's a land. You have no maximum hand size. Tap to add a colorless. So if you have stuff for getting you lots of draws, this is helpful to, have no maximum hand size. Grateful Apprentice. It's a 1/1 creature, a spirit type for 1 in the plains. Has flying. Whenever Grateful Apprentice deals combat damage to a player or a Planeswalker, proliferate. It has the rule reminder. Choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind already there. Which in a Planeswalker deck, that's going to be helpful to have stuff that proliferates. Orisco Explorer. It's a 2/2 creature, a cat scout for 1 in the plains. When Orisco Explorer enters the battlefield, search your library for up to X planes cards where X is the number of players who control more land than you. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle. So potentially helpful to get more land, maybe not always consistent because you don't know if how often you're going to be behind with lands, but even so, you're getting a creature on the battlefield and has a potential benefit sometimes. Swords to Plowshares. It's an instant for a plains. Exile a target creature. Its controller gains life equal to its power. So we had something similar to this earlier, only the other one was giving the opponent the ability to search for a land. This one's giving the opponent life gain instead. But again, always helpful to have something to get rid of the opponent's creature. Next we have the Wanderer. The legendary Planeswalker for 3 in the plains. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control. Its only ability is a -2 ability. Exile a target creature with power 4 or greater, and it starts with 5 loyalty counters, so kind of helpful getting rid of some of your opponent's bigger stuff. Next is Flux Channeler. It's a 2/2 creature, a human wizard for 2 and an island. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. And again, it has the reminder text that choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind they already have. So helpful for the proliferate ability in a Planeswalker deck. Otherwise, hey, it's just another creature on the battlefield. Fogbank. It's a 0/2 creature, a wall for 1 in the island. It has Defender and Flying. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and dealt by Fogbank. So as a wall / creature with Defender, it's just there as something to block your opponents. I mean, if you add equipment to it, it might be able to deal damage back to the opponent if it didn't have that thing saying prevent damage to or done by. But there's probably a card out there that changes rules text, so you might be able to get around that. Narset, Parter of Veils, another legendary Planeswalker. This one's a Narset for 1 and 2 islands. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn, so kind of helpful in slowing your opponents down if they have a lot of stuff to draw cards. The -2 ability, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it starts with 5 loyalty counters. Thrumming Bird. It's a 1/1 creature, a correction bird horror for 1 and an island. Has flying. Would seem kind of obvious if it's supposed to be a bird. Whenever Thrumming Bird deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. So like the other cards was proliferate, it has a reminder text. Healy, Sublime Artificer. It's a legendary Planeswalker, Shahili, for 1, and then it's either an island or a mound and another island or a mound. It's either or, you're not paying both. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 colorless Thurvo artifact creature token. The -2 ability, target artifact you control becomes a copy of another target artifact or creature you control until end of turn, except it's an artifact in addition to its other type. And it has 5 loyalty counters to start with. Wall of Denial. It's a 0/8 creature, and it actually has wall in the name, so as you would guess, its creature type is wall. Cost 1 and plains and an island. Has defender because, well, it's a wall and walls have defender, except for way back when Magic first started. And in addition to having defender, it has flying and shroud. Has a reminder text for what shroud is. This creature can't be the target of spells or abilities. Azorius Signet. It's an artifact for 2. You can pay 1 and tap to add a plains and an island. And then we have the Boros Signet, which same thing, different color combination. It's an artifact for 2. You tap, you pay 1 and tap to add a mound and a plains. Honor Worn Shaku. It's an artifact for 3. Tap to add a colorless. tap an untapped legendary permanent you control, untap, honor, Warren Triku. So kind of helpful in some instances, maybe not all the time, because you can tap it to pay the mana cost of something, and then you can use a legendary permanent to untap this to then be able to tap it again for additional mana. Kind of a trade-off, because maybe you're tapping one of your legendary creatures to untap a mana source, but maybe untapping this mana source gets you something out sooner, so you're not waiting until next turn for another creature, or maybe you're playing a spell that somehow interacts with an opponent. There's could be times that it's could be good, and other times it's just could be another mana rock. Is it Signet? So we already had the other color combinations. This one's an artifact for 2. You pay 1 and tap it to add a island and a mountain. Talisman of Conviction. It's an artifact for 2. You can tap to add a colorless, or you can, the other one is tap to add a mountain or an island. Talisman of Conviction deals 1 damage to you. So kind of a trade-off. You can do the colorless amount of a card for no downside, or you can have 1 damage done to you to do 1 or 2 possible colors. Then we have another color combination, Talisman of Creativity. It's an artifact for 2 that taps for an colorless, or you can tap to add an island or a mountain. Talisman of Creativity deals 1 damage to you. And then we're going to have the third of these, Talisman of Progress. It's an artifact for 2. Tap to add a colorless, or tap to add a plains or island. Talisman of Progress deals 1 damage to you. Wayfarer's Bauble. It's an artifact for 1. You can pay 2, tap, sacrifice Wayfarer's Bauble, search your library for a basic land card, put that card onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So, I mean, it's a card in your deck, and then you're using it to search your deck for a land. So at that point you're thinning out your deck, but I almost feel like there might be better cards to have in this card slot, but it's a start. Like any command pre-made commander deck, you can always upgrade it with stuff as you go. This is just a starting point. Forge of Heroes, it's a land, tap to add a colorless, or you can tap, choose target commander that entered the battlefield this turn, put a 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature, and a loyalty counter on it if it's a planeswalker. So that's kind of helpful to be able to not only tap it for as a land, but also add either a 1/1 counter or a loyalty counter, depending on the card type.